Hello, I'm Jacqueline Holstead, and you are listening to On Point Conversations. In this podcast series, we share creative marketing, content, and branding strategies that help your business successfully navigate the new normal marketing environment. Hello. Today you're listening to Jacqueline Holstead at On Point Conversations, which is my podcast. And if you're listening to this on your favorite platform, such as Spotify or Google or Amazon or wherever you're listening to it, I'm almost on all the platforms. You can also listen to it at my website, and I put up the new ones on my website at onpointthinking.com. You can also reach me at onpointthinking.com. If you go to my contact page, fill that out. I do look at everything I see, and I respond to it. So looking forward to talking to you in this new year. It's now 2022, and we are actually into the new year about 2.5 weeks. So I started my podcast last year during the COVID pandemic. I guess we're kind of still in it. And I really centered it around COVID marketing and how things changed during the marketing time that we were doing more shutdowns. Things are still changing. Things are still moving forward. And we see this constant kind of wavelength of marketing ideas and marketing challenges. So in order to start out this podcast, and I took a little bit of a break too, by the way. I stopped about the end of October. I had a few family things I had to take care of, and then the holidays came, and I decided to kind of relook at what I was doing on my podcast. So now my plan is to be on every Thursday, to post a new one every Thursday. You can subscribe to any of those platforms that you like the best, or you can go to my website, and you can also subscribe there. So today, in keeping with my theme, I'm going to talk about the COVID effect and why companies, CEOs, leaders, people in the company really need to get more of a digital marketing mindset. So we've been through this new reality. We've talked about it. And the pandemic has done a lot to overhaul our lives. Not always, but in recent times we've been able to buy online. Certainly I buy a number of things online, but I also go to a retail store and select a piece of merchandise and take it home from there. So I have an immediate gratification or something that I need immediately. If I need a hard drive or something immediately, I don't have to wait for the mail or being shipped to me. So it does make sense. And it also comes out from anything from getting merchandise to doctor's appointments, where we're doing it digitally. We're doing it online. It also depends on where you live and how your workplace is going to choose to come back from the pandemic. You'll see some of the companies right now are doing more of a hybrid approach, where they're probably in the office 2 days a week with their entire team and then working at home 3 days a week. There's some that are not even back at the office at all yet in the area where I live. I live near the Seattle area. So I can see where various technology companies and companies in general are doing various things differently. One of the big things that happened was we did a lot more shifting to digital buying, as you well know. So we're taking our online shopping experience and we're doing more with it. Now, one thing online shopping experiences allows me as a consumer to do is to research on my own prior to a purchase without any salesperson there, the ability to look from site to site. I can look at pricing, I can look at differences in merchandise, I can look at different features. So I'm doing a lot of research on my own. I'm not just going into a store and looking at what they have. So virtual selling is going to really and is replacing really that in-person selling. Now, we did see at Christmas time this year that there was some people who were saying that more people were going in the store because they really actually missed the retail and shopping experience being online. I think part of it, for me anyway, too, was shipping. I ordered a couple of things online prior to Christmas, in fact, beginning of November, and they never showed up. And that wasn't because of necessarily shipping, it was a supply issue. So they didn't come. Recently, right around the New Year's, I ordered from 2 different companies, neither package of which has ever arrived, and of course they're lost somewhere, and I just canceled the orders. Recently, in the last couple of days, I've made some purchases and they've come right away. So shipping can be an issue. I do now think, if I need something fast, do I want it shipped? In fact, right now I need an external hard drive, another one, and I'm going to go to the store and hopefully they have it in. Now, I've also found, you probably found this too, you go into the store and they might have one, and the one you want isn't in stock, so you still have to order it. But there is that shopping experience of being online and having that virtual selling. So it's basically pretty much, in a lot of ways, replacing that really traditional face-to-face interaction. And I find too, with my clients even, that customers are more willing and want to set up video meetings and not meetings in person for a lot of reasons. 1, we have the virus. 2, commute time. 3, I think with digital meetings or with Zoom meetings or however you do your online meetings, I know for me, things tend to be more organized. We have an agenda, we have a discussion, we have a back and forth, and we tend to get things done very well online. There are sometimes in-person meetings are necessary, but it works pretty well. There's also, because we had sort of a panic buying in the beginning, you remember toilet paper, everybody was buying toilet paper. Customers are now, and particularly because we have more inflation, they're becoming a little bit more cautious and measured. And it would appear they're less likely to take risks. So that creates a slower sales process, a sales cycle. And we also know there are some trade shows coming back, but everything from a lack of trade shows to supply chain issues, which are huge, and inflation is greatly affecting that buying experience. So supply chain issues, that's a whole other topic. And inflation, they're probably going to cycle with time, but how buyers acquire, source, and utilize information to make that purchases was probably changed forever. So people and companies, CEOs on down, have to be willing to meet the customer where they are, or they're going to risk falling behind. I belonged to a yoga studio who had already encompassed a digital streaming class before the pandemic. And therefore, they've been able to actually build and build and build on that. And it's allowed us to continue practicing yoga with the same yoga studio. Whereas there are some yoga teachers who are saying, we'll never get online. It's not the same experience. And I'm sorry to say, in fact, I talked to one the other day, if you're not willing to do it, you've got to be willing to give up your practice, because there are going to be some in person, but I would venture to say that many people are going to enjoy the process of just moving from kitchen to yoga, couch to yoga, to another room, to their own yoga space. That's a yoga example. I'm sure there are other ones. And what we want to do is really reimagine that whole marketing and sales strategy. So every step of the customer journey should be smooth and consistent, no matter what the platform. It doesn't matter if that's a digital platform or human platform or human interactions. So virtually, the buyers have to be able to make decisions, and they've grown accustomed to purchasing virtually. So while there might be some degree of face-to-face, or chat is a big one, it will probably never return to pre-pandemic levels. So digital is here to stay. Accept it and work with it. Websites are kings. So have your website as up to speed as you can, as modern as you can, have the look and feel and the way that you go through. So the more informed and more empowered your shoppers are, or your customers are to shop, the more comfortable they're going to feel. And the digital customer experience, it can no longer be, let's see, I have a simple shopping cart. It's got to be cultivated. There's a relationship still with customers at some scale. So business leaders need to focus on how they're going to engage in that virtual experience. So the company website is your storefront. Now, hopefully maybe, or what would be nice if you had a brick and mortar too, but most companies I know right now, the smaller companies, it's particularly that I work with, are going to a digital storefront. Even if they still got their brick and mortar, they've still got a digital storefront because they have also realized that they can reach many more people. You want to engage those potential buyers at all phases, and you satisfy that search for information from the capability of the product to the price. The website has to be super user-friendly. So when you get to the shopping cart, it holds things in the shopping cart. It doesn't drop things out of the shopping cart. You can come back to it because that kind of way that it works, you get interrupted when you're shopping. You probably have experienced this. Put something in your shopping cart and all of a sudden it's like, I know I get interrupted and my daughter will want something and I'll have to go do that. And by the time I come back, I'm thinking, do I continue now? And maybe I don't. But if it's out of my shopping cart, I'm very less likely to come back if I have to start that process again. Customers also need touch points. So social media is a really good one for touch points because it's going to create and grow that relationship beyond sales and has the power to drive links to purchase. So it's critical that you have your social media strategy and information and messaging there. Customer service is also another one. When customers really finally find that they need that human assistance, it's really important that sales and marketing are in alignment. Customer service should serve as product experts and brand ambassadors. And they have to be able to provide that information that a Google search would yield so that customers spend less time interacting with sales and meeting them later in the journey, and those touch points are still focused and values driven. So you can see this is a big topic, and we'll talk more about it as the year goes on. But your key takeaways, I think, are across the industry, digital is already in process. Get the best you can at your digital future. Figure out what's the easiest way for your customers to work. Figure out your digital plan and implement it. Those business leaders that are going to quickly embrace and adapt to change are going to have a significantly better competitive advantage than those who are going to try and say, no, we're just going to wait until it comes back. CEOs have to have that mindset of digital because remember, they're leading the company. So rethinking that marketing strategy to really reinvest, and I mean invest money in the digital experience, and then realigning the sales and marketing teams so that they work together and they create a world in which digital buyers can thrive. Because we know the buyer speaks and the buyer has spoken, and modern customers want to be informed. They want to be self-informed, self-educated, and they want to do the purchase themselves. So to be very successful here, I'm going to say that you're not going to change the customer into your business model. You've got to change your business model to what the customer wants. And then make really sure that you test it. Test. Look at it, buy from it, include it, look at how your shopping cart works, look at how your information works. Speed your website up as fast as you can. Again, this part of it does require a certain amount of investment. When the pandemic started several years ago, I invested in a brand new website with a designer and a developer because I knew that my website was older. I was doing way more in person, and now I'm doing way more online. I'm contacting people more. I'm setting up Zoom meetings. I'm doing things with an online experience. And as I do that, I grow and see better ways to communicate online, better ways to get to the source of the information online, better ways to develop a relationship when you're just using an online kind of resource. So there are ways to do it. I hope this helped you today. I keep my podcast short and sweet so you can hopefully pick out those little nuggets of things that you can use. If you have questions, just send me a contact form on my website, which is onpointthinking.com. Just go to contact, fill in the information. I get those immediately. I look at them, I read them. And also if you have ideas of things you want me to talk about. Lots of times I'm talking about things that I see with clients and I hear also with clients so that I'm passing along information that is helpful. I appreciate you listening today, and I will talk to you next week, Thursday. Thanks. Bye. Thank you for listening, and I invite you to join me next week as we talk more about